Thanks to like half the comments in my last video, I'm not kidding, like almost every other comment.
Hello, so PDA is pathological demand avoidance, and it is a profile on the autism spectrum as far as we are aware with current research, because it is still very much in its infancy. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Sophie. I've recently been diagnosed with autism and ADHD, and I have a long history of working with PDA students, and I myself have a PDA profile. So people who are neurodivergent often experience demand avoidance, and this is really common amongst autistic and ADHD people. Often you'll hear people talk about things like ODD, but it is really common in people with autism and ADHD because we often want to understand rules before we can follow them, and a lot of rules in our society don't make sense. So I'm going to give a few examples of this, but I'm going to use a school setting because it's where most of my experience lies, just to clear up the difference between demand avoidance and pathological demand avoidance. Now, demand avoidance usually comes from a place of anxiety, regardless of who's experiencing the demand avoidance, neurodivergent, neurotypical, whoever. It's usually coming from a place of anxiety because we don't understand why we're having a demand placed on us and we don't understand what we need to do, so we're going to avoid it. Leave me alone. Demand avoidance. So I might have a student at school who is avoiding doing work because it's quite a demand on them. And actually, when I get to the bottom of it, I realise it's because he doesn't understand the work, and I can talk him through that, get him to a place of understanding, and then he will complete his work. That's demand avoidance based on anxiety, and we found a good solution. Now, with pathological demand avoidance, the demand itself can initiate a fight or flight response. And whereas with the student with demand avoidance who had an anxiety and you were able to talk them round, this kind of tactic can make things so much worse. And also something I want to know on a personal level, and I'm sure many parents of PDAs will vouch for this, if I feel that there is a demand on something, even if it's something I enjoy, I will refuse it. Even if it's something I enjoy, even if I know it's for my own good, I will refuse it simply because there is a demand and I can't help it. PDA is really debilitating, and it makes relationships and friendships really difficult. PDAs are often labelled as contrary, controlling, unreasonable, and actually the PDA profile closely matches those of like conduct disorders. It also resonates really well with things like bipolar, borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder. PDA is a really tricky profile to manage because demands actually feel like a threat, and you will fight for your life as if you are being threatened.